Bruce Lee, the legend of martial arts. He remains the greatest icon of martial arts cinema. He died very early, almost 33 years. His life was full of mysterious. Let's we know about his biography. Born November 27, 1940 in San Francisco, California, USA. Died July 20, 1973 in Kowloon, Hong Kong, cerebral edema. Birth name, Lee Jun Fan. Height, 5 feet 7 1/4, 1.71 meters. Bruce Lee remains the greatest icon of martial arts cinema, and a key figure of modern popular media. Had it not been for Bruce Lee and his movies in the early 1970s, it's arguable whether or not the martial arts film genre would have ever penetrated and influenced mainstream North American and European cinema and audiences the way it has over the past 4 decades. The influence of East Asian martial arts cinema can be seen today in so many other film genres, including comedies, action, drama, science fiction, horror and animation, and they all have their roots in the phenomenon that was Bruce Lee. Lee was born Lee Jun Fan, November 27, 1940 in San Francisco, the son of Lee Hoi Chuen, a singer with the Cantonese Opera. Approximately 1 year later, the family returned to Kowloon in Hong Kong, and at the age of 5, a young Bruce begins appearing in children's roles in minor films including The Birth of Mankind, 1946, and Fugui Fu Yun, 1948. At the age of 12, Bruce commenced attending Salle College. Bruce was later beaten up by a street gang, which inspired him to take up martial arts training under the tutelage of Sifu Yip Man, who schooled Bruce in Wing Chun Kung Fu for a period of approximately 5 years. This was the only formalized martial arts training ever undertaken by Lee. The talented and athletic Bruce also took up cha-cha dancing and, at the age of 18, won a major dance championship in Hong Kong. However, his temper and quick fists got him in trouble with the Hong Kong police on numerous occasions. His parents suggested that he head off to the United States. Lee landed in San Francisco's Chinatown in 1959 and worked in a close relative's restaurant. He eventually made his way to Seattle, Washington, where he enrolled at university to study philosophy and found the time to practice his beloved kung fu techniques. In 1963, Lee met Linda Lee Cadwell, aka Linda Emery, later his wife, and also opened his first kung fu school at 4750 University Way. During the early half of the 1960s, Lee became associated with many key martial arts figures in the USA, including Kenpo karate expert Ed Parker and Taekwondo master Jun Rhee. He made guest appearances at notable martial arts events including the Long Beach Nationals. Through one of these tournaments, Bruce met Hollywood hairstylist J.C. Bring, who introduced him to TV producer William Dozier. Based on the runaway success of Batman, 1966, Dozier was keen to bring the cartoon character of the Green Hornet to TV, and was on the lookout for an East Asian actor to play the Green Hornet's sidekick, Kato. Around this time, Bruce also opened a second kung fu school in Oakland, California, and relocated to Oakland to be closer to Hollywood. Bruce's screen test was successful, and The Green Hornet, 1966, starring Van Williams, aired in 1966-1967 with mixed success. His fight scenes were sometimes obscured by unrevealing camera angles, but his dedication was such that he insisted his character behave like a perfect bodyguard, keeping his eyes on whoever might be a threat to his employer except where the script made this impossible. The show was cancelled after only 1 season, 26 episodes. But by this time Lee was receiving more fan mail than the show's nominal star. He then opened a third branch of his kung fu school in Los Angeles and began providing personalized martial arts training to celebrities including film stars Steve McQueen and James Coburn, as well as screenwriter Sterling Siliphant. In addition, he refined his prior knowledge of Wing Chun and incorporated aspects of other fighting styles such as traditional boxing and Okinawan karate. He also developed his own unique style, Jeet Kune Do, way of the intercepting fist. Another film opportunity then came his way as he landed the small role of a standover man named Winslow Wong, who intimidates Private Eye James Garner in Marlowe, 1969. Wong pays a visit to Garner and proceeds to demolish the investigator's office with his fists and feet, finishing off with a spectacular high kick that shatters the light fixture. With this further exposure of his talents, Bruce then scored several guest appearances as a martial arts instructor to blind Private Eye James Franciscus on the TV series Longstreet, 1971. With his minor success in Hollywood and money in his pocket, Bruce returned for a visit to Hong Kong and was approached by film producer Raymond Chow, who had recently started Golden Harvest Productions. Chow was keen to utilize Lee's strong popularity amongst young Chinese fans. And offered him the lead role in The Big Boss, 1971, aka The Big Boss, aka Fists of Fury. In it, Lee plays a distant cousin coming to join relatives working at an ice house, where murder, corruption, and drug running lead to his character's adventures and display of kung fu expertise. The film was directed by Wei Lo. Shot in Thailand on a very low budget and in terrible living conditions for cast and crew. However, when it opened in Hong Kong, the film was an enormous hit. Chow knew he had struck box office gold with Lee and quickly assembled another script entitled The Chinese Connection, 1972, aka Fist of Fury, aka The Chinese Connection. The second film, with a slightly bigger budget, was again directed by Wei Lo and was set in Shanghai in the year 1900. With Lee returning to his school to find that his beloved master has been poisoned by the local Japanese karate school. Once again, he uncovers the evildoers and sets about seeking revenge on those responsible for murdering his teacher and intimidating his school. The film features several superb fight sequences and, at the film's conclusion, Lee refuses to surrender to the Japanese law and seemingly leaps to his death in a hail of police bullets. Once more, Hong Kong streets were jammed with thousands of fervent Chinese movie fans who could not get enough of the fearless Bruce Lee. And his second film went on to break the box office records set by the first. Lee then set up his own production company, Concord Productions, and set about guiding his film career personally by writing, directing and acting in his next film, The Way of the Dragon, 1972, aka Return of the Dragon. A bigger budget meant better locations and opponents, with a new film set in Rome, Italy and additionally starring Hapkido expert Im Sik Fong, karate legend Robert Wall and seven-time U.S. karate champion Chuck Norris. Bruce plays a seemingly simple country boy sent to assist at a cousin's restaurant in Rome and finds his cousins are being bullied by local thugs for protection. By now, Lee's remarkable success in East Asia had come to the attention of Hollywood film executives, and a script was hastily written pitching him as a secret agent penetrating an island fortress. Warner Brothers financed the film and also insisted on B-movie tough guy John Saxon starring alongside Lee to give the film wider appeal. The film culminates with another show-stopping fight sequence between Lee and the key villain, Han, in a maze of mirrors. Shooting was completed in and around Hong Kong in early 1973, and in the subsequent weeks Bruce was involved in completing overdubs and looping for the final cut. Various reports from friends and co-workers cite that he was not feeling well during this period, and on July 20, 1973 he lay down at the apartment of actress Betty Ting Pei after taking a headache tablet and was later unable to be revived. A doctor was called and Lee was taken to hospital by ambulance and pronounced dead that evening. The official finding was death due to a cerebral edema caused by a reaction to the headache tablet. Fans worldwide were shattered that their virile idol had passed at such a young age, and nearly 30,000 fans filed past his coffin in Hong Kong. A second, much smaller ceremony was held in Seattle, Washington, and Bruce was laid to rest at Lakeview Cemetery in Seattle with pallbearers including Steve McQueen, James Coburn and Dana Nosen II. Enter the Dragon, 1973, was later released in the mainland United States, and was a huge hit with audiences there, which then prompted National General Films to actively distribute his 3 prior movies to U.S. theaters. Each was a box office smash. Fans throughout the world were still hungry for more Bruce Lee films, and thus remaining footage, completed before his death, of Lee fighting several opponents including Dana Nosen II, Hugh O'Brien and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was crafted into another film titled Game of Death, 1978. The film used a look-alike and shadowy camera work to be substituted for the real Lee in numerous scenes. The film is a poor addition to the lineup and is only saved by the final 20 minutes and the footage of the real Bruce Lee battling his way up the tower. Amazingly, this same shoddy process was used to create Game of Death 2, 1981, aka Game of Death 2, with a look-alike and more stunt doubles interwoven with a few brief minutes of footage of the real Bruce Lee. Tragically, his son Brandon Lee, an actor and martial artist like his father, was killed in a freak accident on the set of The Crow, 1994. Bruce Lee was not only an amazing athlete and martial artist, but he possessed genuine superstar charisma, and through a handful of films he left behind an indelible impression on the tapestry of modern cinema. Spouse: Linda Lee Cadwell, the 17th of August 1964 to the 20th of July 1973. His death: 2 children. Trademark: often had a scene in his films where in a fight, he gets wounded. Standing stunned, he tastes his own blood and then he goes berserk, wiping out any opponent in his path. Made animal sounds when he fought to unnerve his foes and focus his strength. His characters were often proudly Chinese and battled foes who racially oppressed his people, as in when he smashed a "No dogs are Chinese allowed" sign with a flying kick. Use of Jeet Kune Do, a form of martial arts he invented himself, in which freedom of reaction was far more important than rigid form. Bowl haircut, lightning fast moves and reflexes. Extremely well-defined body and muscles. In at least one sequence in most of his movies, he would use a nunchaku against his opponents fighting shirtless. Trivia. Ranked 100 in Empire, UK magazines, the top 100 movie stars of all time list. October 1997. Father of Brandon Lee and Shannon Lee. Died of brain edema in Hong Kong at age 32. He is considered the greatest martial artist of the 20th century. Developed his martial arts style called Jeet Kune Do, way of the intercepting fist, which is more of an idea of being flexible and practical, with learning martial arts interred at Lakeview Cemetery, Seattle, Washington, USA. While the Green Hornet, 1966, TV series was in production, Bruce made several promotional appearances as Kato, but made a point to never do the standard martial arts stunts like breaking boards, which he felt had nothing to do with what martial arts are about. Bruce Lee Jun Fan Yuen Cam, Bruce Lee's full birth name, was born in the Year of the Dragon, 1940, at the Hour of the Dragon, between 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Was an accomplished dancer and Hong Kong cha-cha-cha champion. A noted brawler in Hong Kong, Lee received formal training in Wing Chun under legendary Sifu Yip Man. He later trained in a variety of arts but eventually found classical style limiting and counterproductive. He developed Jeet Kune Do, which, he stressed, is not a style but a way of approaching martial arts beyond style. It is the forerunner to mixed martial arts. Weighed only 128 pounds at the time of his death. Suffered a serious back injury while attempting a good morning. Involves holding a barbell across the shoulders and bending forward, keeping legs and back straight. During his recuperation, he wrote several books on the martial arts. His first major U.S. project was the role of Kato in the television series The Green Hornet, 1966. He joked that he got this role because he was the only Oriental actor who could properly pronounce the lead character's name, Britt Reed. Mortal Kombat character, Liu Kang, was inspired by him, complete with the characteristic animal noises. His first major U.S. project was the role of Kato in the television series The Green Hornet, 1966. He joked that he got this role because he was the only Oriental actor who could properly pronounce the lead character's name, Britt Reed. Mortal Kombat character, Liu Kang, was inspired by him, complete with the characteristic animal noises. His students in Jeet Kune Do martial arts included Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Steve McQueen, and James Coburn. His father, Lee Hoi Chuen, was Chinese. His mother, Grace Ho, is described as being of mixed Chinese and European, usually stated as German, descent. His development of Jeet Kune Do came partially out of an incident with his school. A rival martial artist challenged him to a duel over his decision to teach non-Chinese students. Lee accepted the challenge and won the duel, but later thought that the fight took too long because his martial art technique was too rigid and formalistic. Thus he decided to develop a better system with an emphasis on practicality and flexibility. Was constantly challenged by movie extras and other men seeking to gain fame by beating him in a fight. Left for Seattle in 1958 with $100. Gave cha-cha-cha lessons to first-class passengers to earn extra money during ship ride to U.S. Faced discrimination from other Chinese kung fu masters when trying to learn other martial arts styles. Would usually go to the number 3 or 4 man in a certain system to learn it in exchange for teaching what he knew. Demand for his private lessons grew so high that his hourly rate soared to $275 per hour. His last movie, Game of Death, 1978, was his first film to be shot with sound. Unlike most of his earlier films, which were filmed without sound and later dubbed in by the actors. Some of the lost footage was later shown in Bruce Lee, A Warrior's Journey, 2000. You can hear his own voice speaking English and Cantonese. Had he not died, his character's name in this movie would have been Hai Tien. Spoke English, Cantonese, Mandarin, and Japanese. Was able to name every single karate term and performed them with dead accuracy. Hide Hiko, Hidi, Okiari. The two met at the Los Angeles YMCA in the mid-1960s. Earned $30,000 for his first 2 feature films.